Recording in progress.
Today, inshallah, we are starting to solve paper 2, variant 3, May, June 2025. Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. First question shows what? The diagram shows an aquatic plant in light. What is a characteristic of all living things that's demonstrated in this diagram? Whenever I see this diagram, I remember one thing. Mrs. Grant. Excellent. What is a characteristic of all living things that's demonstrated in this diagram? This aquatic plant is receiving light and it is producing oxygen gas. So the plant is doing a very important process, which is called photosynthesis. So we consider photosynthesis as a way of nutrition. So one is B. Next, the diagram in this form you will have something called assessment sheet. The assessment sheet is like this. Your name will be written here on this area. Let's say, for example, Omar Said. And here you will have your candidate number as usual. And here you will have the numbers. So number one, we say B, right? So you will shade in this case, like this exactly. Very important to know how to shade. I will share with you, inshallah, the marking, the answer sheet. Next. The diagram shows four organisms. Which organism is a prokaryote? A prokaryote is lacking what? Lacking a nucleus. So it's very important to know who is a prokaryote, which is A. How do I know? There is a presence of nucleus. There is a presence of nucleus, and here also. So A is a prokaryote as it lacks nucleus and DNA is scattered in the cytoplasm. So number two is A. There are two methods here. First method that you answer all the questions and then you start copying question by question in this answer sheet. Please, as a piece of advice, try to solve past papers using this answer sheet because most of the students don't know how to use this answer sheet, but it's very important to understand how to use it. Okay, so my point of view, my opinion is that you copy question by question. Why? As when you answer all the question, you copy all of them at one time, maybe you are maybe you miss one point or another, or maybe you confuse and you miss one answer from the other. So it's very important to copy question by question. This is from my own site. Next, what happens when a plant cell are placed in a sugar solution that has a lower water potential than the cytoplasm of a cell? So we have here a beaker, and here we have some plant cells, for example, and this solution is having low water potential. So the cells will have what? High water potential. So osmosis is the movement of water from which area to which area? From high water potential to low water potential. So the cells will what? Will gain water or lose water? The cells will lose water. So it's C or D. And it will become flaccid or turgid? Will become flaccid. So 3C. Next. In a DNA molecule, bonds between pairs of bases. First of all, let's remember a DNA molecule. A DNA molecule has two strands. Strand on the right, strand on the left, and there are four nitrogenous bases. Can you remember them? A with T, G with C, and so on. A is always bonding with T. G always with C. A and T generally they have two double bonds, while G and C they have three hydrogen bonds. You don't have to know this, but as a demonstration for your question. What do you think? Which one will need more energy to break it down? A and T or G and C? Yes, G and C will need more energy because we are breaking more bonds. Did you get the idea? That's it. So A and T will need less energy. G and C will need more energy because
Assalamu
number of
alaikum.
bonds is more in the G and C. Let's continue. So the question says what? In a DNA molecule, bonds between pairs of Sure. Can break these bonds to form two single strands. We can break it down like this to form a strand and to form another strand. The base pair C and G is held together more strongly. Why? It has three bonds. While A and T has less because it has only two bonds. Two DNA molecules containing the same number of bases were studied. The DNA molecule 1, 20% of bases are T. Very important to know how to solve this question. When T is equal to 20%, this means that A equals also to 20%. Why? Because A equals to T exactly. So what's left of 100? 60%, which is what and what? 30% G and 30% C. So in the first DNA molecule, there is 30% G and there is 30% C. And there is 20% T and there is 20% A. Thank you. That's more than enough. In the DNA molecule 2, 20% of the bases are C. So C equals 20%. This means that G equal also 20% because C equals to G. So what's left of 100? 60, which equals to 30% A and 30% T. Very important to know this point. Again, one more time. I have total of 100%. If I told you that 30% of this is A, and I have just said that A equals to T, so this means that also there is a 30% of T. طب what's the left of 30 and 30? 60. Minus 100 equals to 40%. طب this 40% is divided into what and what? G and C. Do you get the idea? So this is the first DNA molecule. This is the second DNA molecule. To answer the question, which DNA molecule will do what? Would require the lowest temperature. Here will require less energy or more energy? Lowest. So less energy, which is the one which has A and T. So what's your answer? Is it DNA molecule 1 because there are more A present? DNA molecule 1 because there are more G present? DNA molecule 2, this is 2 and this is 1 because there are more A bases present. The answer is C because here more A bases are present. A is weak, so it will need less energy, which is the lowest temperature of energy. Do you get the idea? Okay. Next. The diagram shows a process involving an enzyme in the human stomach. Stomach, which is acidic. HCl, pepsin is there, which breaks down what? Proteins. Very important. So let's imagine that this is pepsin and this is what? The protein. When we break it down, we get amino acids, right? AA means amino acid. The diagram shows another process, a process called R, which affects the enzyme. Look, this was the active side. Now the active side is what? Altered, change it, deform it, deform it. Which row identifies the substrate and the cause of process R? What do you think? Which one of these is substrate? It's one or two? Yes, it's obviously one. So it's not C or D. So the answer is A or B. طب what can cause this? When we add the enzyme in acidic condition or alkaline condition, if you remember, we have two factors affecting enzyme, temperature and pH. So he said acidic condition, wrong, because it's already pepsin, which works in stomach. طب what can cause the change if we affect the pH, which is alkaline condition? So my answer is B. So 5, B, and 4 is C. You get the idea? This is how you solve in the exam. Next, question 6. Balance the equation for photosynthesis. خلاص, it's direct answer C. A potato was removed from a potato plant. A 5 grams cube of potatoes cut and put into a beaker of distilled water. It's a beaker contains distilled water. What's meant by distilled water? It has the highest water potential. And then we added the cube. The cube will be what? Low water potential. So the water will go into the potato and the potato will increase in size. So what most likely the mass of the cube potato after 2 hours? It was 5 grams. It will be what? 7 grams. How do I know? Anything more than five. Two cannot work, or four, or five. Next, question 8. A diagram shows the direction of net movement of two substances across a human placenta. This is a very confusing question. Which tissue represents the maternal blood? Maternal blood means what? The mother blood. And which substance is identified correctly? طيب, let's go for this. Let's go with the assumptions. Assumption A says what? That P, which is this one, is the mother. So Q is the fetus. What do you think? What goes from mother to fetus? Substance 1. Substance 1 is carbon dioxide. From mother to fetus, wrong. So answer A is wrong. Do you get the idea? طب let's leave B. Let's go for C. C says what? That the mother is Q. This is the mother. And so the baby or the fetus is P. C says what? That the mother is Q and substance 1 is the amino acid. Does the fetus gives the mother amino acids? No. So this is also wrong. Let's go for assumption D. He's telling you that the mother is Q and the baby is P, and substance 2 going from mother to fetus is starch. This is wrong. Starch is happening only in plant cells. So what's the answer? It's B. Why? Let's check it together. P is the mother. Okay, good. So Q is the fetus. Look, and substance 2 is urea. Yes, urea is moved from the fetus to the mother. Do you get the idea? So 8 is B. Very confusing question. You have to take care from it. Next, the diagram shows a part of a cross section of a leaf. Which structure is a palisade mesophyll cell? Direct question. Next, a person has swollen bleeding gums and slow wound healing. This could be caused by a lack of which nutrient in a diet? Also easy. Direct question. Vitamin C. Digested food molecules move into the cells of the body where they are used and become a part of the cell. What's the definition of this? Also easy. Assimilation. Next, if you have any question till now from 1 to 12, just raise your hand and write and type the question in the chat box. I will get back to it. Everything is clear? Okay. The diagram shows the part of a human digestive system. In which part does protein digestion begin? Protein digestion starts in the stomach, which is A. A is B, I'm sorry. A is esophagus. B is the stomach. C is what? Duodenum or small intestine. D also the small intestine or ileum. The diagram shows a cross section of a leaf and the root and the stem. This is the leaf. This is the root. This is the stem. In which row do the number represent the xylem in the leaf, the root, and the stem? This is a golden rule for this. What is the golden rule? The golden rule says what? Stem is always, I'm sorry, xylem is always inside. Always, all the time. So here, one and two, which one is the inner part? One. Three and four, which one is the inner part? Four. Five and six, which one the inner part? Six. So this is xylem. This is xylem. This is xylem. So what's my answer? One, four, and six. So 13 is what? B. Very important to know this part. Next. In which structures in human and plant normally carry amino acids? Amino acids which are considered as nutrients. Which one is carrying nutrients? Do arteries carry nutrients? Yes, of course. And phloem carry amino acids and sucrose in plant. So which one? 14A. 15. Through which pathway does blood leaves the heart? Let's remember the chambers of the heart together. This is what? Right atrium, right ventricle, left ventricle, left atrium. So it leaves the heart through the aortic artery from the left ventricle. So what's the answer? Through arteries from ventricles. Arteria only receive, veins towards the heart. So C and D are wrong. 16. The photomicrograph shows some blood cells. This is what? Phagocyte. This is what? Lymphocyte. This is what? Red blood cells. Very important. Sometimes he give you some dots like this. These are platelets. So, which row shows the name on the function of cell labeled X? It's a phagocyte. So it's not. What does it do? It engulfs pathogen. So go 16C. Okay. So let's get back to our sheet. Look, now what are we going? We're going to copy all of these one by one. This may cause a problem for us. We may get confused. But Cambridge says what? 40 minutes for answering, 5 minutes for copying the answers in your answer sheet. So whatever suits you, you can do it. That's why I'm telling you try to practice. Try to practice before the exam using the answer sheet. Okay? Next. Which row shows the effect of cholera on the human body? Cholera is a bacteria that affects the small intestine. So these are the intestinal cells. This is the gut or the intestinal lumen. It forces the cells to release chloride ions into the lumen. Thus, the chloride ion will ask what to come out, will ask water because it decreases the water potential in the lumen. So when water comes out, more water is there in the feces, which causes diarrhea, which causes at the end what? Dehydration. So movement of chloride ions into the blood or into the small intestine. So it's not into the blood, it's C or D. When the chloride ion build up, which means increase in the lumen, what will happen to the water potential? Will decrease or increase? It will decrease. So the water leaving the body through the anus diarrhea will increase. So my answer is C. The plotted points, question 18. In a diagram 1 and 2 on the graph, show different types of structures in the breathing system of a human. The y-axis says the lumen, the diameter of the lumen, and this is the distance from the larynx. Let's remember together. This is the mouth, okay, and this is also the nose. And both of this will give us pharynx, then the larynx, then we will have something called trachea, then we have two bronchus, صح? Two bronchi. Each bronchus will subdivide into bronchioles. At the end, it will give me, they will going to branch until they give me air chambers or air sac, which is called alveoli. So as we move down, what's happening to the lumen becomes what? Narrower, right? So here, point one, high lumen or low lumen. It's high. The diameter is high, but this one, it's low. So the curve is moving like this, decreasing, which means what? As you move away from the larynx, the diameter of the lumen is what? Decreasing, right? So let's answer the question. Which row identifies a structure attached to the alveoli? So the alveoli is the last part. This means that it has the narrowest lumen, right? And the structure attached to alveoli and structure containing cartilage. Cartilage is found in trachea, bronchus, bronchioles, right? So what do you think is this? Which one is there? Which one is attached to alveoli? It's two. Why? Because it's what? The lowest lumen, the narrowest lumen. And which one is a structure containing cartilage? It's one, maybe trachea or bronchus. You get the idea? This question is very important. 19. Which process in plant uses energy from respiration? Very easy, huh? Which process? Cell division. Cell division is a process all where we use energy from respiration. Which sequence of statements explains the buildup and removal of oxygen depth, which is caused by an aerobic respiration in the muscle cells in human? Take care. Which gives me what at the end? Lactic acid. So who can tell me? Number one, anaerobic respiration occurs in the muscle during vigorous exercise. Yes, this is the first thing which happens. So my answer is A or B. C and D are wrong. Glucose is converted to lactic acid because you said three. Yes, this is the second step. So it's A or B. So this is first, this is the second. Here comes the difference. After glucose is converted to lactic acid, faster and deep breathing continues after exercise. This is for B. Or for lactic acid build up in the muscle causing oxygen depth. This is more accurate. So faster, deeper breathing continues after exercise. Oxygen enables the continued aerobic respiration of the lactic acid. So my answer is A. Very important to know this point. Next, what is filtered out of the blood in the glomerulus and into the nephron? Let's remember it together. There was glomerulus where arteries comes and venules move, and then the filtered goes into the kidney tubules, right? And then collects in something called collecting ducts. Just some processes that you need to understand in this point, which are what? Here, filtration, right? At this area, selective reabsorptions. Absorption of what? All glucose, excess water, some ions or salts. Type who's left in the collecting duct? We call it now what? Urine, which contains what? Urea, some water, some ions, right? So question 21 says what? What's filtered out in the blood, in the glomerulus, and left in the nephron, which is this part here, inside. What's here? Number one, is it glucose? Yes, glucose is filtered, but then reabsorbed. So 21, the answer A or B, C and D are wrong because he said no glucose. Type question. طب let's go for the second one, urea. Is urea there? Of course it's filtered from the blood. طب if he said in the ureter, if you continue this line, you will continue to ureter when it's collected. Urea will be there? Yes. What about glucose? No. So 21A. When we filter from glomerulus to the nephron, glucose is found and urea is found. 22. Easy. What can be broken down to form urea? Amino acids by deamination in the liver. Take care from this. Who is producing urea? Liver. Who is excreting urea? Kidneys. Very important. Diagram shows a simple reflex arc. A receptor message will move from the reception area to the central nervous system. Who's copying the message? Always sensory neuron. Then we will have relay neuron here in the central nervous system, which interconnects between this, the sensory neuron, and what? The sensory neuron and the motor neuron, which sends the reflex action, or which sends the message back to give a response. So R is motor neuron. So 23 is what? D. Easy. 24. Diagram shows a cross section of an eye. E ciliary muscle. F lens. G suspensory ligaments. Which row is correct when a person views a near object? I told you before, when we have a near object, we do what? CC, SS, LF. Ciliary muscle contract, suspensory ligament slack. What's meant by slack? Not pulled, tied, pulled less. The lens becomes fatter. Easy. So, yalla. E, which is the ciliary, what's happening to it? Contracts. So my answer is A or B. C and D are wrong. Suspensory ligament slack. Where is the suspensory ligament? G. So pulled less. So it's A or B. We still. The lens become fatter, becomes thicker. So my answer is F, which is the lens becomes thicker. My answer is B. So refraction is more. 24. B. Easy. Which hormone increases blood glucose concentration in human? Tricky question. It's A, adrenaline and glucagon. Why? Adrenaline is used in fear, fight, flight response, which increases the blood glucose level, increases the blood pressure, increases the heartbeats. Very important to know. 25, A. 26. A shoot tip was placed on agar block. Agar block. Substance can diffuse through agar. He means by this word substance, oxygens. Light was shown on the shoot tip from one direction. After 3 days, يبقى we have here a shoot tip and we have agar block. The light was from this area. So all the oxygens will move from it was evenly distributed like this. When there is light from one area, it will go from this area to another area, which is the area which is shaded. So all the oxygens will come to this point. So the oxygen will diffuse into this agar area, the left side. After 3 days, the agar was cut into half to form blocks X and Y. But we blocked it like this. We cut it like this, X and Y. Blocks X, blocks X and Y on were placed on the stems of shoot that had tips cut off. Sometimes we have a stem like this, we cut the shoot tip. So the stem becomes like this without a shoot tip. So if a stem without a shoot tip, this means what? No oxygens. Why? Because a shoot tip is the source of oxygens. So when we cut the shoot tip, no oxygens. But we replaced it. We replaced it with what? With the agar blocks, which was here. So what do you think? This is a stem which without a shoot tip, and under it X and Y. X contains oxygens. Y nearly does not contain. How would the shoot be represented after 1 week? The oxygens are here. So the shoot is going to start to grow from this area. So when it starts to grow from this area, how it's going to be bent? Like this. What about the shoot? He replaced, no, no, I'm sorry. The stem is like this, and he added the agar cube like this. And he added one here X, and he added one here Y. So this agar is replacing the shoot tip. Type here, the Y does not have. So how would be the growth? The growth would be like what? What do you think? The growth will represent which one? A or B or C or D? This one has oxygen and the light is coming from this area. C. Why? Because X has oxygens. So oxygens will diffuse to the shaded part, which causes the bending. Why? It will grow upward because oxygen is not directed, evenly distributed. Easy? If you understand this question, please raise your hand. If everything is clear for you. Because it's a tricky. If you understand this question, everything is okay. Just raise your hand. Done? Guys, can you listen to me? Do you hear me? Okay, thank you. What about the others? Are we good? Okay. 27. Diagram shows reproduction in a potato plant. Potato X was planted into the ground and the plant grew from it. The plant then produced potato Y. Potato X, then when the plant grew, give me potato Y. Which statement is correct? X and Y are genetically different. XY was produced by asexual reproduction. Was produced by sexual reproduction. Y was produced by fusion of gametes. No fertilization in asexual reproduction. So what do you think? What is the answer? B. Y was produced by asexual reproduction. Which statement about pollination is correct? Self-pollination increases the ability of the population to respond to changes environment by increasing variation. Wrong. Self-pollination decreasing variation. Self-pollination increases the ability of population to respond. No. Decreases the ability to respond to change in the new environment.
Recording in
While C
progress.
says what? Self-pollination reduces the ability of the population to respond to changes in the environment by increasing variation. This is also wrong. Self-pollination reduces the ability of the population to respond to change in the environment by reducing variation. This is right. 29. The graph shows the change in the thickness of the lining of a uterus during a menstrual cycle. From day 1 to day 5, there is the bleeding, which is menstruation. Then after this, the lining of the uterus starts to increase, preparing for the fetus and the zygote to be implemented. So, which day is the last day of menstruation? Which day is the last day of menstruation? Any day before day number 7. You get the idea? So, is it 8, 16? Is it 20? It's a 4. It's an average from 1 to 5. What is the name of a gene which has alternative form or variation? It's what? Allele. 31. The diagram shows cells of mammalian embryo shortly after fertilization. When a sperm attaches with the female nuclei, they're starting to give me the zygote. This zygote starts to mitotic division and increase in number, two, and so on. So, what is the correct description of these cells? These cells are stem cells, stem embryonic cells. So, are they doing mitosis or meiosis? They are doing mitosis. So, 31 C. They are not doing meiosis. These are not gametes, and the zygote is not going meiosis. 32. A very tricky question. Take care. The diagram shows inheritance in one family of a six-linked recessive disease. So once he's telling you six-linked, you have to know that it's carried on six chromosomes. Okay? So you represent the genotype like this. XY for male, XX for female. And if it's recessive, this means what? Let's give it a sample, like for example, R. R capital, R small. Let's say that the female is infected. So it must be what? R small, R small. A male is infected. It must be what? R small. طب a male is not infected with the disease, R capital. A female which is not infected, R capital, R capital. طب if she was a carrier, R capital, R small. You get the idea? These are the cases. طيب. Now let's go for the tree. Male is crossed with a female. They gave me three children, a girl, two boys. The boy is affected, so he has the disease. So what is his genotype? He must be what? Excellent. XRY. Why? Because he is a male and this is a recessive disease. Type this one, the same. XRY. He's a male and he has the recessive disease. So, which individual in this diagram are heterozygous? What's meant by the word heterozygous? They must be what? For this disease. Let me ask you a question. Can a male be a heterozygous for a sex-linked disorder? No, because a male receives only one X. So it could be R capital or could be R small. So he may be infected or not. He cannot ever be a carrier, but a female can. She could be like this or like this or like this, right? We have just explained it. So which one is a heterozygous? What do you think? A male and female. Let's give an example. Is this one infected male? No. So is 100% what? XR capital. Why? He's unaffected with the disease. طب this female may be a carrier, maybe not. But how do I know that she is 100% a carrier? Because she gave birth for this boy which has the disease. So she is XX like this. طب Mr. Prove it. Okay, let's do. Look, let's do Punnett square. Let's give here the male and let's give here the female. Yeah, first one will be what? XX R capital R capital. XX R capital R small. Right? This one XR capital Y male, XR small male. So which one is this case here? You get it? So 2 is 100% a heterozygous. So my answer may be A, maybe C. So B and D are wrong. What do you think? He's telling you, is it 1? Is it 3? We said in just 1 minute that a male cannot ever be a heterozygous. So it's what? C. Okay? Very important to know how to solve this question. If you understand it, please raise your hand before I go to the next. Lujain, is it clear? Okay. Which row describes continuous and discontinuous variation? Continuous variation. Do we have intermediates? Yes. Discontinuous? No. Just this color or this color? Black or white? Short or tall? No intermediates. This continuous is caused by what? Genes and environment. I'm sorry. Continuous is caused by اللهم صل على النبي. Let's remember. Yes, genes and environment. Discontinuous only by genes. Okay? So let's answer the question together. 33. Continuous variation. It's like a mass in the animal is an example. Caused by genes and environment. First part is correct, second part is wrong. So does not work. Let's go for B. Caused by genes and environment. Yes. Seed shape in bees is an example. Yes. Could be round or wrinkled. So no intermediate, this or this. As for example, the moth. Can you remember the moth? It's a very common example. Black color or white color. No intermediate, no gray. Do you get it? 34. Uh, let's give me just 33. Let's say B. To remember, just to remember, give you remember alarm. Which statement describe adaptive feature in an organism? Helps to survive and reproduce. It always shows continuous variation. What do you think? No. Adaptive feature is a discontinuous variation. As the moth. The moth survived when it became black in color. It is inherited? Yes. So my answer is 1 and 3. 34 is C. 35. The graph shows the change the percentage of bacteria resistant to antibiotic called X. As time passes, the percentage of the bacteria is increasing to this antibiotic. What causes the change shown in the graph? Is it artificial selection? Do we as a human insist for the antibiotic resistance to increase? No. It's natural selection? Yes. Is it meiosis? No. Bacteria is doing binary fission. Random fertilization? Also no. My answer is B. 36. Diagram shows the flow of energy in units of energy through a food chain. Producer 1000 unit, primary consumer 10 units, secondary consumer 10 units, tertiary 1 unit. If you remember when we said only how much of energy is passed, only 10%. So how much is lost? 90%. You get the idea? So if we start with 700, how much is passed? 70. How much is passed? 7. How much is passed? 0.7. How much is lost? The same question. Which percentage of energy is lost between, take care, producer and secondary consumer? 1000 unit. A 10 unit represents how much from 1000? Excellent. 99%. Okay. This question, is it clear? Raise your hand, please. Lujain, Yusuf, done? Okay. Next. Which process in the nitrogen cycle can be caused by lightning and bacteria? Easy. Nitrogen fixation. 40. Which phase in the population growth curve shows when the death rates are higher than birth? Which one? Here, birth is more than death. Here, let's say maybe they are equal. Here, death is more than birth. So, which one? D. That's why the rate is declining. What is a disadvantage of a large scale monoculture of crop plant? Let's remember together, which is monoculture, like for example, I'm planting one crop only in my field. What could what could what could be a disadvantage? This will decrease the use of insecticides. This will decrease the fossil fuel emissions. This will increase biodiversity. This will increase the risk of a disease to destroy the entire crop. يعني imagine with me that I'm in one field, I'm just farming rice. What if a new disease came to rice? All my field will be destroyed. طب if my field is rice here, let's say banana here, potato here, and so on. Here, let's say strawberry. So if something affected the rice, maybe banana is resistant to it. Maybe potatoes resistant to it, maybe strawberries resistant to it. So it will affect the whole entire crop. So my answer is D. Next, 40. Some processes involved in the production of human insulin by genetic modification are listed. What is the sequence of these processes in the genetic modification? He says one is the start or three is the start. Let's go for one. Insertion of the human insulin gene into a cut bacterial plasmid. This is the first step. Or human insulin gene is isolated using restriction enzyme. Yes, this is the first step. So A and B are wrong. Let's go for C and D. After 3 is 1. Let's read it. The insertion of the human insulin gene DNA into cut bacterial plasmid. Yes, this is the first. This is the second. Then 4. Recombinant plasmid are inserted in the bacteria back. Yes. The bacteria contain a recombinant multiply and make human insulin. Yes. So my answer is C.